Now, I've been to Graceland 3 times, and I've only been able to see it from a tourist perspective, just behind the ropes. Now, you have been to Graceland when Elvis was still there, and you were...
Well, he hadn't had it all that long when I got to go.
And you were what, 16?
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us something a little bit about that.
Well, I was on Wink Martindale's dance party show on WHBQ TV in Memphis that night. And every time I would go to Memphis and be on a show, sometimes on the same show, Dickie Lee would come anyway because we were friends. We had become friends. He loved my mother and daddy too, and he was just real nice. He said something about Elvis and being home. I said, "You kidding?" He said, "Would you like to go see Elvis?" I said, "You have to be kidding." Of course I would. I had no idea what I would do when I got there. I might faint for all I knew. But he said, "Okay." I've been there lots of times. We drove over there. It was still called Highway 51 South then. They hadn't had the...
And you lived in Memphis at one time, didn't you?
No, I never lived in Memphis. I lived in Nashville. I lived in Florence, Alabama, and all that. But I commuted to Memphis,
all over the place.
In Atlanta, Pensacola, you name it, New York, everywhere. We even went to, where's that place? On the coast, Corpus Christi. There was a little studio in Corpus Christi, and they got my group and me to come down there and do some background work. But that's way later. Anyway, so he told Mother and Daddy that they would be welcome to come up and visit too. And my mother and daddy were afraid they would be intruding. And they did not want to stand in my way of getting to meet Elvis Presley. So they wouldn't go up there and visit a minute. And I always have felt bad about that, because from where I stood there, just came in the door, Dickie knocked, and Elvis said, "It's open." And we walked in, and he got up and turned around. He was sitting on the coffee table with his back to the door. And he got up, and Dickie said, "I've brought a friend of mine with me who'd like to meet you. And this is Jeanie Johnson from Corinth, Mississippi. She's on RCA Victor too." And Elvis was most gracious, just, real nice. And from where I was standing, you could see back into the kitchen or eating area. His mother and daddy were sitting back there at the table having coffee. Mother and daddy could have come up there and gone back there and had coffee with Gladys and Vernon, and I bet they would have had a whole bunch of stuff in common, because we both came from poor as turkey backgrounds. It has always really hurt me that Mother and Daddy didn't take that opportunity. I would love for them to have met them got to talk to him and everything. Well, when we went to Russwood Park, though, my Aunt Linda did go over and talk to her. She was bold as brass. She didn't give one darn what anybody thought. And she went over there and talked to him, and she said they were nice as pie. She said, Carmen and Mary Lou, you ought to have gone up there and gone in the house and met Elvis, and he would have probably introduced you to his folks, and y'all could all have coffee together. You will never, ever imagine how many, literal fights I almost had to have with guys and girls over Elvis Presley at my school. Some of them loved him to death. They were fine. But the others would make, really deriding comments about him or his folks or this, that, and the other. And I threatened to pop them upside the kisser, and I meant it. And they knew I meant it. And they'd back off, okay. I was adamant they were not going to make fun of Elvis Presley in my face.
Now, you said that there were a lot of celebrities there at the same time.
Oh, good gracious, he had a house full. Well, Sam Phillips was there.
Mm-hmm.
And he had already made the greatest mistake he ever made in his life by selling Elvis's contract to R.C. Victor. But he was there anyway. He was still welcome to come and see him.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lee Lewis was there. And I don't know how many of those guys from Sun Records were there. And it was just almost funny, And when we got back down to the car later, Dickie and I were laughing, and Mother and Daddy said, "What's funny?" I said, Sam Phillips was up there, the guy who has made the worst mistake he ever made in his life. And if he could come visit Elvis, y'all sure were welcome. I couldn't help but get a kick out of that.
Well, now, I know you've described Elvis when you were sitting on the couch and he was sitting on the coffee table.
He got up and took my hand and shook my hand and was just as nice as he could be, and he introduced me to the other people. He was the most gorgeous, top to toe, side to side, any way you wanted to measure him. Of course I never saw him nude, and I never asked to or wanted to, but he was indeed the most gorgeous human specimen of either sex I have ever laid my eyes on. There's no photo, no movie, no videotape or anything else that I've ever seen ever did him justice in human flesh, standing right there. Beautiful human being.
Now, I know you actually got to sing with him at Graceland, and that you said that Jerry.
We went into his music room and he sat down at the piano.
Well, you said that Jerry. Didn't you tell me that? Didn't you tell me that Jerry Lee Lewis tried to get up there and he stopped him and wouldn't let him?
He just sat down at his own piano. He didn't want it torn up because Jerry Lee Lewis had a bad reputation, and I had been on some shows with him and seen him do it. Tear the piano all to smithereens. And I thought, you poor idiot. You are nothing but an idiot. I don't care how much talent you got, you're an idiot. To folks like us, to come up the way we've all come up, you know, you don't tear up something that makes lovely music and is beautiful in every way and get by with it. Elvis would have knocked his cock up in his watch pocket for him if he'd tried. That'd have been worth watching, though. I'd have run out and got Daddy for that. He'd have paid to sing that. He'd have loved that.
You were standing behind Elvis while he was playing.
Oh yeah.
And you were.
And we all knew the song. It was the one with Clyde McPhatter and the Drifters. At Come What May.
Mm-hmm.
And on the end of that song, it goes up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Come what may. And I was the only one that did that lick. Even Elvis didn't do it. And he turned around and looked at me like, hello.
Well, now here's what I think is very interesting, because first you saw Elvis, ended up on the cover of that newspaper. Then you visited Elvis at 16 at Graceland, and then you moved on to actually work with him on his albums. Now, how did that,
Well, I'll tell you how that came about. We had a session with Chips Moment at American Sound Studios this particular night, and we had to spend the night in Memphis because it was too late for us to be traveling as girls like that. And we stayed at I think they called it at that time the Riverview Holiday Inn, down there right on the river. And the next morning when we were fixing to check out, who walks in but Felton Jarvis, who had produced my record as Jeannie Fortune on RCA Victor before I became Jeanie Greene. You know, he was just fixing to check in when we were fixing to check out. I said, y'all hold still this minute. I knew this is a make or break time. And I went up there to the desk. I said, hey Felton, how are you doing? He said, well, hi Jeanie, how are you doing? I said, just fine. We just got through last night doing some work for Chips Moment, and he told us that Elvis is going to be recording there soon. And he said, that's right. I said, I want to put our name in the pot to be considered for the background group, okay? He said, I'll sure tell Elvis, and I'll play him what I've got on y'all and let him make the decision. And in a few weeks, got a call from Felton, and he said, well, you got it. I said, got what? He said, Elvis said you're hired for his sessions to do the background work. I almost fell down. I was at Mother and Daddy's house when he called, and I almost fell down on the ground. I thought, it worked! Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. The Back in Memphis was the first one released that had In the Ghetto and
Suspicious Minds,
Kentucky Rain, and a lot of good stuff on it. And we worked with him in the studio. We did not do any road work or Vegas work.
Now, see, that's where some people get confused. When they think of Elvis as backup singers, they think of Sweet Inspirations. But
Well, that's odd that you say that, because Priscilla was with him that night when we went to do the overdubs. At first, he was just a little bit skittish of going back into the studio and doing everything at one time. So he let the band lay down their tracks, and then he would do his vocal tracks, and then they'd call in the background singers to do overdubs, as they call them. RCA Victor paid us for each night that we waited. We finally got the call, he's ready for y'all to come in. And we went into the control room, and Priscilla was sitting there. And she no longer had that bombastic, huge black hair.
Beehive.
She was really beautiful. We introduced ourselves to her, and she said, Are you all the Sweet Inspirations? I said, no, but thanks for the compliment. And then 5 years later, they signed a contract to go on the road with him. After their contract with Atlantic had run out, you know.
Mm.
And for those 5 years, January 1969 to December of 1973, we were the studio background group.
Right.
And Elvis he was blown away, you could tell. And he even told us, he said, I've never heard white girls sing like y'all. I said, I don't know that very many do. I said, before you came along, most of our work was for, African American, singers. And their producers hired us because they had heard us do all the work after Herschel quit coming to Muscle Shoals. We were the group first. Susan Coleman, Mary Holiday, and I. Finally, Donna Thatcher joined the group, but she didn't stay a full year even before going to San Francisco and getting in with the Grateful Dead and all that stuff, for which she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Weird things happen.
No,
Anyway,
I know you've talked about he had a great sense of humor. Now you've told me about the joke that he used to do that you fell for it every time.
What? No, he only did it on me once, and I fell for it hard.
What was it?
The thing that drives me insane is I remember the punchline, but I don't even remember the body of the joke. He told this rigmarole about this Chinese, some kind of artist who did sewing. And it was very long, and and I thought, where are we going with this? The other girls weren't paying any attention whatsoever. I was interested because I thought, this sounds interesting. Wonder where he's going with this. And he said, and he sewed, and he sewed, and he sewed. And finally I couldn't stand it any longer. I said, so what? And he liked to have fallen out of his chair. Because that was what he was waiting on, to snag me just far enough to say that. I wanted to go up there and punch him, but I wouldn't dare punch him. I thought, yo, Dick and Chewy, you got me good. He came in a blue suede poncho.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just complimented him on it. I wasn't fishing for something. I said, you sure do look nice in that blue poncho tonight, Elvis, because his eyes were such beautiful blue, you know, and it just made him stand out. I thought it looked so great on him. He said, well, you like it? As soon as this session's over, I'll give it to you. I said, listen, I wasn't fishing for that or anything. I just was paying you a compliment that I sincerely meant. He said, no, I'm gonna give you a poncho. And he did.